Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Louis and I'm from 23 Bachelor of Informatics 01, and my student number is 23.61.0259. And then now we're gonna talk about multidimensional of array. But first, let me introduce the array. An array is a variable that is capable of storing a lot of data in one variable with the same data type. So these arrays have elements that are used to store large amounts of data. The way to call array data on a particular element is by accessing the element indexed data. Array index by default starts from 0. And this is the illustration of two-dimensional array. And next, let's discuss the code. From the first code, we input the integer a, and we input the first index is the first index as rows, and the second index is a column. And from the code, we know that there's 2 rows and 3 columns. And we input the data for the first rows and the first column. We add 5, and so the next index, and we input the output, and we input the output. And after we input the data, we have to add the output code as a values of index is, and using the type of integer for the output. And this is the result. And the next is the second of array types. There's this little difference between the first type and the second type, and the difference is on the data that we inputted to the integer. From the code, we know that there's 2 column, but this column has 2 column, and the column inside the column has 3 data. This 5, 15, and 25 is a rows that we input in one column, and so the next column, and this is uh, and this become one as rows. So the compile has the same output like the first type. And next, in the third type, we'll just add the conditions. That conditions have has the one as condition for looping the condition, and we have output index values, but this output is inside the conditions, and the conditions has two as a number of condition for being loop, and if the conditions does not match the two, it will back into the first looping, the first condition. Next, the fourth type. The fourth type, we're just taking machine to input the data, because the difference with between the fourth and third, the fourth does not have the data, so we have to input first, and we have to know the output and add some conditions for the output. In this, the compile of fourth type, there's two rows and three column. And for example, this rows 1 and the column 2 has the values as 2. And and the next type is matrix type. So you compile the result will has the matrix type, and the difference between the fifth and fourth type is in the output conditions, which we change the output cout into the a and integer I and g. Integer I as the first condition and g as the second conditions. And this is the result. We have the matrix result. And next is matrix type. It's like the before type. It's like before type, but we take more metrics from here as two classifications, and the first classification in matrix A and the second in matrix B, and the output to show the matrix A, we take the cout and the integer I to show the matrix A, and integer B G to show the matrix B. And we add the blank space, the blank char. So to add uh, to give a space uh, between each other, and we have the total of matrix A and B, and we'll just add the plus sign with A matrix and B matrix. And we have to input uh, to the group of matrix, and this is the result. We have two matrix, and the total of matrix A and B. Next, the next the next types, will not use integer, but we use string to create some data with word. The first input part, we have conditions and if else, and if, and the first if uh, with the conditions, with the first conditions, j is equal with 0, or the first uh, step, and we input standard, and we input the data for the name of student, and the next into data as the value ts values, and the last is input data of was values. And if we then to input this if, uh, we will check into the conditions. If the conditions is true, it will loop until the values is false, and if it's false, it will turn back into the before conditions. And if before conditions has the false values, it will done, and next to the output, and in the output we add conditions for conditions for the first conditions. We just type the cout and data, and input the rows and column Si and G, and if the result, the values is false, it will turn back into the before conditions, and if the conditions until these conditions, it will stop until these conditions has the false result. And this is the right type, the result, and why these sections does not uh, display into the result, because we input the number in the string type, so it will not read as a part of string data. And the next is the array with third dimensions, and this is the illustrations of array with third dimensions. And let's discuss. So in the third dimension, in the array with three dimensions, uh, we input three index to create three dimensions. As first index uh, is the first subscript, and the second index is the second subscript, and the third index is the third subscript, or the size, or the third size. Like what we see now in this code, we have the third index with first index is shown as rows, and second is a column, and the fourth as a size of this array, the third size. And this is the data, and we have the output values as like what we see now, because the result will follow the the command, and this command we use the first rows, the first column, and the first size, and one is a result for the first rows, the first column, and the first size. And next, the next the second 3D array types it just have it just has the just it just has the different with the data that we input into the integer, of index as a column. We know that to input rows, we have to input the columns, and to input the column, we have input a column in the rows column, and size as values, how as okay, so the total of values that we input. So if the size is 4, we just add in the column is 4 data. We can add 5 data because the size is 4. And print and after the data, we type the cout and the index values for the first rows, the first column, and the second size. And this is 2 is a result of uh, of uh, index values. And the next we type the conditions uh, to print out to hash the output as index values. So there's 3 conditions. For the first conditions is I less equal with 1, which if the I is true and I is equal with 0 and 0 is less than 1, so it's true, and it will next into the second conditions with the conditions G is equal 0 and 0 is less than 2, so it's true. It will next to the next conditions with K equal 0 and K is less than 3, and that is true. If the condition is true, it will show the values, the index values as this, and until the values until conditions has the false values, so it will turn back into the before conditions, and if the conditions has the false values, it will turn back into the first conditions as like conditions. And that's all.